Hi everybody, my name is Emily Carney and I'm excited to kick us off with our first Parent Power Session of the year, High School 101. Parent Power Sessions were developed with a focus on helping parents throughout high school as well. The presentation today was actually developed over the past couple of years based on common questions that we get from parents related to high school at each grade level especially. So this one's obviously for new students to the district or freshman parents in particular, and hopefully we hit on a lot of topics that you might have been interested in learning more about. The presentation was also aired yesterday. It actually aired last night at 6 p.m. And all Parent Power Sessions are held on Thursdays at 6 p.m. So if you ever want to join us live, we'll send out Zoom links, typically through email as well as phone calls, and we'll also have them posted on our counseling website. This one will also be posted on the counseling website for future reference for people to access after today. I also want to mention, if you do ever join us live, we typically use Zoom. For those of you who have never used Zoom, you'll receive a link, and sometimes it might ask you for passwords, other times it won't, but we would include that password in the information that we provide to you for you to be able to join. I'll also usually have all of the participants muted and their videos not shown. However, you are welcome to unmute when you want to speak to us or have questions, and you're also allowed to have video if you do not want just the blank screen to be able to allow other people to see you. So with that and the housekeeping rules, I'd like to move on with the actual presentation. First, I'll begin by introducing all of the counselors who you will be hearing from today. As I mentioned, I'm Emily Carney. I am one of the 5 counselors as well as the division chair for Student Support Services. Mrs. Andrea Eichelkraut is another one of our counselors. Mrs. Meg Kowalczyk, Mrs. Taylor Kroll, and Mr. David Spudik are the other counselors. And we also have with us this year Miss Allison Baker, who is our counseling intern. And she'll be interacting with and assisting a lot of the students this year as well. Later on in the presentation, you'll be able to see which counselor is actually your student's counselor. So if you're wondering who's who, we'll be able to point that out later on. Our agenda today is a pretty extensive one, but like we mentioned, we've made it based on what people have wanted to know more about. We'll first touch on communication, which is absolutely essential, especially with the remote learning that we have going on right now. Communication is going to be key. Graduation requirements in order to graduate from LP High School. We'll go over grades and how to access those. We'll explain to you the support that you have throughout high school as well as your student. We'll touch on career exploration, and then college and career planning. Those kind of go hand in hand because everything a student is doing throughout high school is to prepare for their next step. And for any of you who attended 8th grade registration or when you're registering your student in general, that's one of the first questions we ask. You're stepping foot into high school, but what do you want to do after? Because we're trying to make purposeful steps to help them prepare for the next one. We also will touch on what parents can do throughout high school to help their student. Involvement, what that looks like in the high school for students, as well as during right now with the remote learning, how that will play out. Testing, the required testing for your students throughout high school, and then we will end on bullying and social media. I also want to just mention at this time that counselors are here to support you and your student throughout high school. So if there's ever any questions on how to get a hold of us, there's tons of ways to communicate now. Obviously, email has been the most common one. With that being said, we are getting quite a few emails. All of the faculty members, administration counselors, that seems to be the primary one that people are choosing to communicate with us. So that does mean we're getting quite a few emails in a day. Regular business hours are 7:30 to 3:10, Monday through Friday, with the exception of holidays. So if you do send an email, like let's say it's at 3:30, I do ask that you at least give us 24 to 48 hours, or actually 1 to 2 business days to respond, just because it depends on the time of year, how many emails we're actually getting to be able to respond. If you want a more immediate, or if you need a more immediate response, I actually recommend voicemails. You can go on the LP counseling page, which I'll be showing you next. Actually, the LP district page, www.lphs.net. And on there, we have the directory right on the home page, so that you could search by our names to be able to find our direct extensions. That one we typically are able to get back to people more quickly, because again, we're not getting as many as many voicemails as we are emails. And emails tend to take a bit longer to respond to as opposed to a phone call. Lastly, you have Power School available to you. You may be able to email a teacher through there, but I typically tell my parents and students not to rely on Power School, because occasionally there'll be a glitch and maybe an email, they thought it was sent and it really wasn't. The teacher never received it. So just to make sure that you're not missing out, I would always recommend email if you're preferring that mode of communication as opposed to speaking with them directly. Our emails are typically the first initial of our first name and our full last name at lphs.net. So I am ecarney at lphs.net. And so teachers, you'd be able to get a hold of teachers similar to that. But again, you can look it up in the directory as well. I also mentioned that counselors are here for you guys throughout high school, and we are going to focus on quite a bit of different areas in helping your student in their development. More specifically, we focus on the academic success, their college and career readiness, as well as their social emotional needs. So we're going to be here pretty much for anything. And if you ever have a question, we are certainly happy to help. So please feel free to reach out to us. On the LPHS website, you'll see, obviously it's a gorgeous website. There are a few tricks to being able to find what you're looking for. First, from the home page, you will not see the for students or for parents until you have actually switched to our school. How you do that is up in the upper left-hand corner, above Salle-Peru High School. There is an option to click on school, and then you would click on Salle-Peru High School to be able to see all of those areas. From here, you can access the counseling website. So for example, if you go under for students and click on counseling, you'll be able to get to the counseling office homepage. We have a lot of very useful information throughout high school on there. As mentioned, we'll be posting presentations on there. We have forms that students tend to need throughout high school. We have copies of their registration forms on there for when registration typically comes in the spring for the following year. Just lots of information that we like to share, and we'll put announcements on the counseling homepage related to future topics that we're going to be sharing or important things to note. At this time, I will now turn it over to David Spudik.
Hi, my name is David Spudik. I'm going to talk about the graduation requirements for LP. Students are going to graduate with 23 credits. One class is worth half of a credit, not including study hall. Students are going to take 4 years of English, 3 years of math, which is going to include 1 year of algebra and 1 year of geometry, 2 years of science, which is going to include a year of biology and a year of chemistry. For social studies, students are going to take 2.5 years. It'll be 1 year of world history, 1 year of U.S. history, and then 1 semester of American government. Students have the choice to take world history either freshman year or sophomore year. For consumer education, students will take 1 semester of personal finance or Principles of Economics honors. This will be available to them junior and senior year. For PE, students are going to take this every semester they are not enrolled in health or driver's ed. Health is a 1 semester class. Essential technology is a 1 semester class. Students will do 1 year of fine arts, vocational education, or a world language. This will not equal 23 credits, so they will take other electives to help them get there. Driver's ed is not a graduation requirement for LP, but if students take it at LP, they will earn half of a credit. To be eligible for driver's ed, students must complete 8 classes in the previous 2 semesters. They must be 15 years old before the start date of the class. Whether they take it first semester or second semester is dependent on their birthday. The class is roughly $125 with a permit that costs about $20, which is good for a year. We do offer summer school driver's ed. Signups will usually be in the end of February. Preference is given by the birthday. The fee is included in the paperwork. Grades. For grade point average, elective classes will count towards this. That includes band and choir. Freshman PE will also count towards a student's GPA, but when they take PE sophomore, junior, or senior year, it will not be included in their GPA. Advanced placement or AP courses and honors courses will receive a weighted grade. At LP, we measure on a 4.0 scale. So junior and senior year, there will be 6 classes that are able to go into a student's GPA. Here's the LP GPA scale. As you can see, the regular grade points are less than the weighted grade points. So the highest a student could earn in an honors and AP class is 5.4 compared to the 4.4 of a non-honors or AP course. Students are able to calculate their own GPA. This is a breakdown of how to do it. For English 1, a student received an A, which means they had a 4.0. They will multiply that by the credit, 0.5, they'll get a 2. After doing that for all of their classes, they will add it together, then divide by the number of credits they are taking, and that will give them their GPA. On the left-hand side, the student took no honors or AP classes, while on the right-hand side, the student took honors classes. Although they received the same grades in each class, you can tell that taking honors courses, the student was able to earn a higher GPA. When thinking about class rank, we take the GPA of all the students and put it in order from highest to lowest. The highest GPA will result in student being number 1 in the class, while the lowest GPA will be 314th in the class. There are 314 students in the freshman class currently. There can be a tie. To determine percentile rank, if a student is between number 1 and 31 out of 314 students, they will be in the top 10% of their class. If they're between number 1 and number 75 out of 314, they'll be in the top quarter of their class. If a student logs on to PowerSchool and clicks on the About Me tab, it'll show their current GPA, their current class rank, and their cumulative credits earned. As of right now, there will be nothing in your students' About Me unless they took Algebra 1 as an 8th grader.
Hello everyone, this is Andrea Eichelkraut and I am one of the counselors here at LP High School, and I'd like to talk to you about how grades are important. First, there are many awards and scholarships that are tied to students' GPA. The honor roll here at LP requires that students have at least a 3.0 or higher. High Scholarship Legion is a 3.5 or higher. Now, senior year, many students may be interested in becoming members of the LP Honor Society. In order to be inducted into the LP Honor Society, there are GPA requirements for that as well. Additionally, senior year, many students will be able to apply to LP scholarships, and those also will have some GPA requirements attached to them. Another reason grades are important is athletic eligibility. Student athletes must be passing 5 classes, and if they have a GPA of 1.5 or lower, they can still play, but they will be considered on athletic probation. Next, college admissions and athletics are tied to grades as well. Many colleges will have a GPA minimum that all incoming college freshmen must have after they graduate from high school. Additionally, if they would like to be student athletes at their college, there will also be some requirements tied to their GPA as well, because many colleges, they want student athletes, not just athletes, but students who are also studious and are doing well in school. On the next slide, you're going to see a picture of what a transcript looks like. When students become seniors in the fall, they will begin applying to different colleges. And at this time, they will have to send their transcript to those colleges. And when they send it, it will have all grades, all final grades from freshman through junior year, as well as their GPA, their class rank, and any SAT or ACT scores that they have. So as you can see, what your student is doing now will affect them directly in the future. So the choices they make today may influence their college that they can go to, the scholarships that they can earn. The big things that colleges are going to look at are going to be your class rank, your GPA, and those SAT or ACT scores. Next, you will see that grades are important after students graduate because there are many freshman merit scholarships that are tied to these grades. So if you look at this chart, this is an example from Northern Illinois University. And it will show you that the higher the student's GPA and the higher their SAT scores, the more money they could potentially earn. However, at NIU and many other colleges, they may just simply earn money or be awarded money based on their GPA. So at NIU, if a student is admitted with at least a 3.5 GPA, automatically they are given $3,000. Now, if they have, for example, a GPA of a 3.8 and an SAT score of a 1420, they're automatically awarded $7,000 for the year. So as you can see, the better a student excels academically and also on that national test that they will take their junior year, the more money that they can earn for college. Another reason why grades are important is that grade level is determined by credits earned. So in order for your student to be considered a sophomore next year, they must earn a minimum of 2 credits, which means they must pass 4 classes. In order to be a junior, they must have at least 9 credits, and senior year, they must have at least 16 credits to begin that school year. The benefits of this change include that students and parents are more aware of the current graduation status. For example, if it's your student's 4th year at LP, but they only have 7 credits, you would see that they are considered sophomore status still, so that they have at least 2 more years ahead of them before they can earn their diploma. Additionally, it provides that motivation to remain on track for graduation. And there are natural incentives related to grade promotion. One being registration. Counselors will register our seniors first, followed by juniors, sophomores, and lastly freshmen. Homerooms are attached to grade level. So if a student would like to stay with their grade level peers, it's important that you stay on track with your credits. Also, area career center classes are only offered to students who are junior, senior levels. And prom would only be offered to students who are senior level. Now, previously we talked about checking grades. Power School is updated regularly by our teachers, and parents and students both have logins. So you can log in daily and you can see what your students' grades are. Students can also keep track of their grades and homework through Power School as well. We have grades in progress that we will mail home every 9 weeks. So you will be able to see, where your student is at, but it is just a grade in progress. So they do have the opportunity to improve their grade at that point. And finally, the semester grades, which will be the final grades, are sent home at the end of each semester. And these are the grades that will appear on your student's transcript. Another thing that is tied to grades is Renaissance. And this is a program that I hold near and dear. It is a nationally recognized program that is a motivator to students. It encourages them to excel academically and behaviorally. It empowers students, and we reward them for their grades, for attendance and good choices. One of our main incentives is our Renaissance Card program. And this is a program that awards students for their GPA, their attendance, and for their good behaviors. So there are 4 different Renaissance cards that a student can earn, with gold being the highest level. And these cards are tied to their GPAs, their discipline, and their absences. And the higher the GPA, the better the attendance, the less discipline, the better the card. And these cards have different perks on them, such as extra credit, free treats, free t-shirts, field trips, different things that motivate our students to want to excel and do well academically, as well as have great behavior and good attendance. And with that, I will pass it on to our next presenter to talk about support.
Hi everyone, so my name is Allison Baker and I'm the intern in the counseling office this year, and today I'm going to start off by talking about some of the support services that your student can utilize while they're here at LP. So first we have the counseling information, so you can see what counselor your student will have throughout their time here. They're going to have the same counselor for all 4 years, so they'll really have that consistency, hopefully build develop a relationship with their counselor. It's broken down by last name, so you can see here what your last name is and see who your student's counselor would be. They're a great resource for you or your student to go to if you're having any questions or concerns. Their email and their phone numbers are listed here. We also have some other supports, so teachers are really important for your students to go to if they're having any trouble academically. They're the person that your student should go to first. They're the ones who are in the classroom and can be that first person that they go to. We also have tutoring and math labs, which I'm going to talk about more in depth, and then athletic vouchers. So if you have a student athlete, they are required by IHSA to be passing all of their classes. If they have a D or below in any class, then they will be given an athletic voucher, which says that they have to meet with the teacher of the classes that they're failing or have a D in to get extra help, tutoring, have a plan basically on how they're going to be raising their grade. We also offer group counseling, so we have a lot of different types of groups throughout the year. Some examples of ones we've had in the past are study skills, we have a substance use group, a grief group, one's on empowerment. We're currently doing one for transfer students. Basically, if you are interested in seeing what kind of groups we have, because they change throughout the year, check in with the counselors, see what is offered, and we can maybe set you up in one that would work well for the student. Academic resources, this is more about the math lab and the tutoring that I spoke of. So math lab is a time when a student can get help during school hours, in the morning, in math. So if your student is remote or in person, they can get help virtually or in person every hour during the school day. So there's a math teacher assigned each hour. So if it's their off day or if they have a study hall, then they just contact the teacher for the hour that they would like to meet and set up that appointment. We also have tutoring and help in business, in world language, English language, learners, and a literacy lab, which is basically for reading comprehension, some grammar. And those are the specific times where they would have to contact the teacher listed if they would like to make an appointment. And we also, the student can get free tutoring out at IVCC on Monday nights from 3 to 7. That is it's by appointment only, so they would have to schedule that ahead of time. And also, there is some Wi-Fi issues out at the college where you have to have a login with IVCC to be able to use the internet. So if they can get hard copies of anything they need help with. They also, though, can meet virtually, I believe, on Zoom, so that might be a better option for you as well. And then, of course, your teachers. So if the student is struggling in a class, it's always best to talk to that teacher. All teachers are available to meet with students remotely or in person on Monday through Thursday from 1 to 2:40 in the afternoon. Next, I'm going to talk about how career exploration plays a part here at LP and how your students are going to be doing that throughout all 4 years. So as a freshman, they will start using career cruising. Career cruising is a free or a resource website that students can use to research careers, to find out more about, what does someone in that career do, what does it take to, what is the education needed, outlook of that career, salary, all that stuff. It also helps you kind of look through your interests and see what a career would be that would match those. So that's what freshmen will be doing. In October, the counselors will meet with them to set up their career cruising ID, their login, and to give them that, let them use that interest survey where it will ask them what kind of things they're interested in, what do they like to do, and match them with some potential careers to kind of jumpstart their career research. As a sophomore, counselors will also be meeting with students to develop a 4-year academic plan based on what they might want to do career-wise, and see what are some of the classes that they're going to need to take at LP to make sure that can happen. Career research paper, all students who are in English 2 as sophomores will be doing a career research paper. Also, right now we're not doing any career fairs, but typically sophomores will attend a career fair. Hopefully next year that is something we'll be able to do. And then individual appointments. So if your student wants to do some more in-depth career planning, they can meet with their counselor to do so. And career cruising is something also that they can use. It's not just when they're with the counselors in these lessons. They can log in to use career cruising at any time. What you as parents can do to help students in their career planning is first to just stay positive and help them with their research. So if the student comes to you and they want to be a veterinarian and you think you tell them, no, that's going to be too hard, you're not going to be able to do that, it's too expensive, just not being supportive, then they're going to be shut down from talking to you about careers, or maybe thinking that they have the potential to do what they want to do. So what you want to take away from that is, okay, you want to be a veterinarian, what does that entail? What does a veterinarian do? What kind of schooling am I going to need? What do I need to prepare to do that? Kind of using that as an opportunity to do more research into a career than to just kind of shut them down and say that's not something they are able to do. Kind of going with that, encouraging really making informed decisions. So don't just say, I want to be a veterinarian and know nothing about it. You want to know all the aspects of it, so you are not going into something without knowing all of your options. And then take advantage of opportunities. So always be asking people out in the community, if you go to the vet, ask the vet, what do you do? How do you like being a veterinarian? What does your day look like? What kind of education did you need? Get to know people in the community who do jobs that you might want to do. And then provide guidance and blind encouragement. So just remember that you want to be supportive of your student, and that this is their dreams and what they want to do. You want to be, it's not what you want for them, but what they want for them. And then encourage your students to set goals. So it's important to set goals so you can be as informed as you are as soon as possible as to what you want to do, what it's going to take, what kind of classes you need to take at LP, would you need to go to college, do you need to go to a tech school. So it's encouraging to set those goals, to know where you're going, but also know that at this time of age it's normal for students to change their mind and to not know exactly what they want to do. That's normal at this age. And then last for me, websites of interest. So these are some good sites that you can look at and your student can look at to research some careers, get some more information. Career cruising we spoke of. The Illinois Student Assistance Commission has a great website that talks about college planning and career planning. The Occupational Outlook Handbook is an awesome resource. It provides real data about thousands of jobs and what the salaries of those jobs are, what the outlook is. This is a job that's growing, where once your student is done and ready to enter the workforce, is there going to be jobs available? Is this something that's growing, or is it declining? And then the Occupational Information Network is another resource that you can use.
I'm Taylor Kroll, one of the 5 counselors here at LP. I'm going to start by talking to everyone about college and career planning. First, I want to talk about high school requirements versus college requirements. So as we talked about earlier, LP does have a set of graduation requirements for each core subject area class and different elective classes. To start, we will talk about English. So with English at LP, we require 4 years for graduation. College entrance requirements also requires 4 years of English. LP requires 3 years of math, and college wants to see 3 to 4 years of math. So it's always a good idea for a couple reasons to get that 4th year of math in. First off, it looks good on that transcript, and some colleges actually make it mandatory for admission into their university that students have those 4 years. So it's important to be looking at what those requirements are for the colleges that your student is looking at. Also, it's a good idea because taking that full year off when your student will have to jump into college level math is often really difficult. So there's a couple reasons why getting that 4th year in is a good idea. With science, LP requires 2 years, whereas colleges require 3 to 4. So your student is going to want at least one more year of science, maybe even 4, depending on the schools that they're looking at, and also depending on the majors they're looking at. So with like math and science specifically, if your student is looking at a major that is very math heavy or very science heavy, you're definitely going to want to incorporate those classes into each year of high school just to best prepare them and to also show those colleges that your student is serious about that major that they're applying to. With social science, LP requires 2.5 years. Colleges want to see 3, so your student's going to want to at least get another semester of social studies in while they're here at LP. For foreign language and fine art, LP requires at least 1 year of either a foreign language, music, art, or vocational education class. With colleges, when we're looking at foreign language or fine art credits, they want to see a minimum of 2 years of those classes. Foreign language does vary from college to college for entrance and graduation requirements. Those more competitive schools do want to see, like U of I, for example, they want to see a student in at least 4 years of a foreign language, whereas other colleges like to see 2 years. Some colleges, they're okay if you don't have a foreign language, if your student has 2 years of a fine art. It does vary. Us counselors do, when we're working with our college-bound students, we do often recommend that our students take at least 2 years of a foreign language, because then that kind of covers their bases, as they're still deciding what school they want to go to. So that kind of covers them for like a wide variety of schools, and usually they're safe with those 2 years. Career and technical education. So in grades 9 to 10, our students that are interested in going into like CTE fields or those hands-on trades jobs or engineering, we have a couple different options, as students go through their 4 years at LP. Freshman and sophomore year, Intro to Technology is just that introductory class to those shop classes, those hands-on classes that goes in a rotation. Intro to Engineering is our first level of engineering class. For grades 10 to 12, those 1 semester, 1 hour CTE courses open up. Those classes include welding, machines, electricity, and woods. So your student could take an entire semester of those, whatever classes that they're most interested in. Grades 11, and principles of engineering also for 10 to 12. So that's our second level of engineering class. Grades 11 through 12, those are those ACC classes that you might have heard of, those 2 semester, 2 hour CTE courses through the Area Career Center become available to students. There's a wide variety of ACC classes that we offer to our students based on what career path our students are into. The beautiful thing about those classes is the students start working either towards their certificate or towards IVCC credits. So they're really beneficial classes, for students interested in going down those career paths. It's important for your student to talk with their counselor if they are, when they're talking about their career plans, when we're registering them each year. It's good for us to know if your student is interested in taking an ACC class, so we can make sure that they're getting enough of their graduation requirements out of the way to fit those in their schedule junior, senior year. Civil engineering and architecture is the 3rd level of engineering class that we offer here at LP. So what can parents do? Keys to success. So making sure your students have the needed materials for each of their classes. This is vary by class, depending on what teachers are making required for your student to be successful. And this could include notebooks, folders, binders, poster board, markers, note cards, etc. And I know with our remote learning setting right now, I think the most important material is internet access. So does your student have internet access every day? Are they able to log on to their classes? Do we need to, do you need to call their counselor to let them know if there are issues or if it's limited so that we can try to make a plan, and make arrangements for your students so where they're still able to meet the needs and the requirements of each of their classes. Another key to success is designating a study area at home. So making sure, especially now with our remote learning setting, it's that much more important to have an area at home where that student is being productive and they're working on their schoolwork. That's maybe separate from, them not being in their bed, but maybe another corner of their bedroom or another part of the house where it's just their study time, just their school time, so that they can be more productive. LP Planner. So all of your students have received an LP Planner at registration. This is a really good tool to keep track of assignments, projects, exams, just a resource to help your students stay organized and keep track of everything that they have to do and complete. Monitoring homework and study habits. Your student will have something every night. So, oftentimes I have parents who, they say that their student had told them, well, I don't have homework. I don't have anything to do. Your student will have something to do every night, whether it be homework, doing some different lessons that they're behind on, like on ingenuity, watching videos, studying for a test or a quiz that is coming up. There's always something that your student can do. And in checking Power School, that's another, portion of this slide. So that's going to be a way for you to see what your student had, like what grades that they have and also what missing assignments they have. So if they have missing assignments, if there's zeros in that Power School, teachers do keep that pretty up to date. So if you do see zeros, then those are assignments and things that your student can be working on. Another key to success is for parents to be involved. So that parental involvement is a key indicator of success. So the more involved you are as a parent, oftentimes the more successful your student will be in the long run. So it's important to take interest, asking questions, being in those conversations with them on a consistent basis. Emailing teachers, counselors with questions and concerns. So you have a team here at the school that wants your student to be successful like you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us as those questions and concerns pop up so that we can be of help and be of support to you and your student. Kind of continuing on the keys to success. So observing your students' behavior. So your students are freshmen. They just went through a big transition from junior high to high school. Entering freshman year, it's a huge time of social exploration and growth. They're meeting a lot of new people. Their routines have changed. I think even more this year with the whole change to remote learning. That's a big routine change that they haven't, been used to or been a part of previously. So ask them what they're doing, where they are, who they with, how they are, as they're going through this big transition. Because, what they're doing and who they're spending their time with is going to be a big indicator of the person that they become and the habits that they start. So it's important to be involved and observe your student and ask those questions. Also be aware of smartphone use. So, I think just so much of all of our everyday lives, most of us have a smartphone. Most of our students have a smartphone. They're always kind of connected. Whereas, previously when a student, would go to school or, be in that environment, once they left school, they were kind of able to turn that off or like turn those people off. With us being always connected on that smartphone, they're not able to turn that off. So what are they doing on there? How are they, participating in social media? What kind of communication they are? Who are they communicating with? What are they doing? Is that constant connection? Is that negatively? Also, that sexting component. So unfortunately, that has become super prevalent with our students. The use of their smartphone for that type of interaction with each other. It's important to have those tough, uncomfortable conversations with them because, just of the seriousness of it, unfortunately, what kind of communicating with them, what they send out there, even if they delete it, it's not deleted. It might be on somebody's phone, it's out there.
So, not sending it out there to begin with, because it doesn't want, you don't want it to affect them down the line. They don't want to be affected down the line by a decision that they're making now. And also just the the legalness of it, that it is illegal for them to be sending, explicit pictures of themselves because they are minors. So, having those tough conversations with them is important. So they're aware, of just the severity of what some of their choices could, that impact. Also keep an eye on nighttime cell phone use. So this is often linked to poor sleep, increased depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. So just overall with that smartphone, just making sure that they have a balance with it, that it's not consuming them or negatively impacting them, and they're not using it in an unhealthy way.
Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Kowalczyk here to talk to you today about involvement. So why should students get involved? Probably the biggest reason would be to develop friendships. Often students come from junior high and they find that their friendship groups have dissolved. So by getting involved in something when you have something in common with someone else forms a great bond for friendships. By getting involved, students also learn social skills, leadership skills, communication skills, conflict negotiation skills. These are all important skills in our world today. Research also shows that by getting involved, productivity in your academics actually increases. Being involved also helps with character building and in talent and recognition. An example of this would be our Renaissance students who often go on to national conferences and earn recognition and sometimes even monetary scholarships. Which brings me to the last reason to get involved. When students apply for colleges and scholarships, the colleges not only look at their grades, but they want to know what you've been doing for the past 4 years in high school. What have you been involved in, both in the school and outside the school? So how do you get involved at LP? One of the most important things is through sports. We have organized sports, which are still going on during the COVID time. We have intramural sports, which for now are at hold, and these would include things like dodgeball, wiffle ball, bags tournaments, and then of course the spectator sports. I, for one, can't wait to get back to an LP football game and join the crowd in cheering on those Cavaliers. LP also offers many clubs and organizations. These school-sponsored clubs and organizations are listed on the LP website. If you want information about any more of those clubs or organizations, just contact the sponsors to see what's going on during these COVID times. Students also can get involved outside of school through Scouts, the 4-H, Junior Achievement. Anything that they can get involved in is important. LP offers a community service program called the Cavalier Cord Program. Students keep track of volunteer hours their 4 years of high school, and based on the number of hours they've earned, they can wear a cord at graduation. Sometimes students get involved by working. If your student is under 16, a work permit is needed. Mrs. Wilson in the counseling office is the person who helps with these work permits. However, the student must have the job first. So once the student has the job, just contact Mrs. Wilson in our office and she'll get the ball rolling. Next, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the testing at LP. So LP uses the SAT suite of assessments. These tests are designed to measure the essential ingredients for college and career readiness and success. These tests have a stronger connection to classroom learning and they inspire productive practice. Our testing schedule: freshmen will take the PSAT 8 and 9 in spring. The PSAT 10 is taken sophomore year in spring. Juniors take the PSAT/NMSQT in the fall, and then they take the SAT in the spring. The SAT is a graduation requirement. So next I want to talk to you a little bit about bullying. So what do you do if your child is being bullied? First of all, focus on your child. Be supportive and gather information about the bullying. Focus on them rather than on the bully. Contact your child's teacher, dean of students, or administration if you feel that this bullying needs to be reported. Another way to report bullying would be to click on the Report Bullying icon on the LPHS website. Anonymous reports are also accepted by phone call and/or in writing. One thing you can do is help your child become more resilient to bullying. Oftentimes we can't change the behavior of other people, but we can try to change our reaction. And finally, be aware of your child's social media use. This is probably one of the biggest places where bullying occurs. Also, I want to talk to you about our response to COVID-19. The LP Student Support Services Department has put together a YouTube video with resources for everyone during these trying times.
So now that you've heard from everybody, at the conclusion of this presentation, we asked to hear from all of the parents and any questions, further questions that they had. And I'll share with you now some of those that were shared with us yesterday evening. One of them was related to whether we have 5G technology in the building. There were also some additional technology related questions. And unfortunately, although counselors love to help, we do not know all of the answers at times, but we can direct you to the people who would know the answers. And for technology related questions, we would direct you to our technology office. We have 3 members in that office, Russell Anderson, Scott Leonard, and Amy Williams, and they are certainly available and happy to help people and answer questions, especially as it relates to any Chromebook issues or access questions that you and your students may have. The next question that we covered was tutoring at IVCC, how that works, what it looks like. And one of our parents actually works at IVCC and was also able to share some additional information. ivcc.edu/tutoring is highly recommended for you to visit if you are interested in attending tutoring. They are still doing in-person meetings, and they're obviously helping any students that are interested. However, it is recommended that you check out that website and you call ahead for the most up-to-date information and what that will look like. We also got a question of, could the students use career cruising now? And I would say absolutely. I know the counselors would all agree that that is a tool that is free for the students to use at any time, and they're encouraged to use it as often and whenever they would like to. The only thing right now, they do not have their login and password for their individual My Plan once they've logged in. So they would just kind of create one with you if you really wanted them to get going on that immediately. We will, however, be going into those classrooms in October to be doing career cruising with them and to help them create their LP school My Plan login and password, which they will use all 4 years anytime we are doing career cruising lessons with them. Just because we want to make sure that they have the same login and password for all 4 years so they can keep everything in one My Plan and don't have like 10 by their senior year. Next, someone asked how to join CAVCORD program. And there's actually no way to join necessarily. You just reach out to the principal's office. Mrs. Barb Franklin has a form, and since we are remote currently, I do believe she can email that form to people, and then that person can just print it out and have it signed for them to return back to LP. Otherwise, if you do not want to, or maybe you don't have a printer or don't want to have access, don't really have access to something like that, then you can just document it right now, where the student worked, how many hours, the date and times, as well as who the supervisor was, so that when they do come back to school can get a form, or when you're able to come in and get one for the student, then there's no issues with not remembering any of that information. And lastly, attendance and COVID. If a student does actually have COVID, are they expected to attend online Google Meets for their classrooms? And I would say, honestly, it just depends on the student. When a student has COVID, they do go into their attendance is actually like disregard, which it's kind of like it depends on if the student is capable to attend or not, if they're comfortable to attend still, because most importantly, people at LP, everyone at LP would agree, the most important thing is someone's health. And the last thing we want to do is to add additional undue stress on someone who's trying to get healthy and recover. So it's more of, we'll work out individual plans with students. If your student does get COVID, when you call into the school, we can kind of discuss what the expectation would be or what they feel comfortable with. And we will work with them on an individual basis. So we don't want people stressing for sure. Number one, get healthy, and we will help people with makeup plans as needed. So, with that said, we covered a lot. If you have any additional questions at any point, as I mentioned, please reach out to us. We are so happy to help, so happy to be a part of your life and your experience, your child's experience throughout high school, and are certainly available to speak with you anytime. Have a wonderful night.